Sometimes a car doesn't need a major revolution to be truly compelling. Sometimes all it needs is one thing. It finally feels complete. And that was my first impression when I stood in front of the 2026 Mazda CX-5. If you follow the CX-5's journey from previous generations, you know one thing. This car has always been a driver's choice. The handling is sharp. The steering is communicative. The design is elegant without being overly flashy. But there's always that one small gap that makes people hesitate. Whether it's the infotainment system that feels behind the times, or the feature set that isn't as extensive as its rivals, or the impression that it focuses too much on driving feel and not enough on technology. And now, the 2026 arrives with one clear mission: to close that gap. From the outside, Mazda hasn't drastically changed its design DNA, and I think that's the right decision. The CX-5 still looks mature, clean, and well-proportioned. The body lines are smooth but firm. The front grille is now sharper. The headlights are slimmer, and the LED lighting details give it a more modern feel without losing the Mazda's signature identity. This isn't an SUV that's trying to look overly futuristic. This is an SUV that knows elegance never goes out of style. And as I got closer, I noticed the details of the finish, the paint, and the play of reflections on the body. It felt like I was looking at a car a little more expensive than its label suggests. Climbing inside the cabin, this is where the changes began to become significant. Mazda has finally given the interior a more contemporary layout. The infotainment screen is now larger, the resolution is sharp, the response is fast, and the smartphone integration is much more seamless. There's no longer the old system being kept feel. Everything feels updated, modern but not overdone. What I like is that Mazda hasn't sacrificed ergonomics for style. Physical buttons are still there for essential functions. The controls are positioned logically. The steering wheel feels solid in your hands. The seating position is low for an SUV, making you feel more connected to the car, rather than just perched high above it. The materials? This is what often makes the CX-5 excel. Soft touch surfaces are scattered throughout high-touch areas. Stitching is neat. The panels don't feel flimsy. Even the sound of the doors closing conveys a solid feel. There's a crafted feel here. It's as if this car wasn't just assembled, but designed with care. Then we start moving. And this is where the CX-5 always has an ace up its sleeve. The steering is precise. It's not just light or heavy, but it feels alive. There's communication from the front wheels. The suspension finds a balance that many rivals struggle to achieve. Comfortable enough for city driving, stable enough for fast corners. Body roll is controlled without being harsh. At mid to high speeds, the car feels planted, stable, calm. It's not the kind of SUV that floats or feels empty. There's a sense of confidence that comes without being forced. And interestingly, the improvements in 2026 are noticeable in refinement. Cabin insulation is better. Outside noise is more muted. Power transmissions are smoother. Everything feels more mature than the previous generation. It's not a dramatic change that's immediately apparent in the brochure, but after you drive it for 20-30 minutes, you realize this car feels more mature. Now the question becomes more interesting. Is the 2026 CX-5 finally the SUV everyone wants? Because before, it was often the choice of people who like to drive, people who care about handling, people who appreciate design. But now, with more updated technology and a more modern cabin, it's starting to enter the radar of people who previously chose rivals for features. And this is where the CX-5 becomes very strong. It doesn't need to be the SUV with the biggest screen. It doesn't need to be the most powerful in its class. It doesn't need to be the cheapest. It just needs to be the most balanced. And that balance is evident here. You get a design that's elegant without being garish, you get an interior that feels premium without being overly premium, you get a driving experience that's truly felt, not just numbers on a spec sheet. Many SUVs today try to outdo the competition with long feature lists, but often, after the initial hype wears off, what's left is the everyday driving experience, and that feeling is something that can't be faked. The 2026 Mazda CX-5 feels like a car designed for people who want to enjoy the journey, not just get to their destination. Is it perfect? Of course, no car is perfect. There will always be those who want more power. There will always be those who want a more aggressive hybrid variant. There will always be those who compare it to other brands in terms of resale value or network coverage. But for the first time in a long time, the CX-5 feels like it has no glaring weaknesses. And that makes it very dangerous in its class. Because when a car no longer has buts, it becomes a much broader choice. Mazda didn't try to shock the world with a radical revolution. They did something perhaps more difficult: perfect something that was already good. And the result is an SUV that feels mature, confident, and incredibly easy to recommend. So, is the 2026 CX-5 the SUV everyone will want? Maybe not everyone, but very likely more people than ever before. And in the highly competitive automotive world, that's already a major win. Now, I want to know your thoughts. Is the 2026 CX-5 finally the complete package? Or do you still see gaps that haven't been filled? Leave a comment, because discussions in this class are always interesting. And trust me, 2026 might be the year the CX-5 stops being underrated and starts becoming the new standard.